After the controlled chaos to kick off the 1UP Nitro National Series playoffs at Talladega Superspeedway, we arrive at a different kind of chaos here in Memphis, Tennessee. This is race number 20 of the 2024 Nitro National Series season, race 2 of the playoffs, and we are here at the Memphis International Speedway for 118 laps around this very tight 3/4 of a mile oval that's sure to provide us with some new challenges that these drivers have yet to face so far. And alongside me to bring you all the action in the booth today is Duke Anzac once again. This is a brand new racetrack for these guys, so teething problems will probably be an issue in the early stages at least.
Yeah, but we always see electric opening races in this series. Every time we go to a track for the first time, it is a ton of fun. Assured. So this is an interesting one, though. It's a 3/4 mile track. It's a short track. It's going to be a lot of beating and banging. We've got a long race ahead of us, so you got to stay calm in the beginning. And there's a lot on the line today in the second playoff race. Like you said, it was chaos at Talladega. Controlled, I'm not sure, but it was chaos to be sure. And some of these drivers need some help. Pretty much everybody from 8th on back needs a lot of help. They need to have really good runs today and throughout the rest of the playoffs because they are currently in a hole. Meanwhile, the guys up front, if they could put together some good days, they could start to extend their lead a little bit and separate themselves from the people who are farther back. So it's a big day. It's going to be a make it or break it kind of day for a lot of these drivers, and it is going to be a ton of fun to see what happens.
Absolutely, and now that we can bring you the starting lineup of this race, we can point out our pole sitter, Kev Shearer, who had, shall we say, less of a good day at Talladega. He finished down in the 30s, albeit on the lead lap, such is the nature of Talladega. But he lines up on pole position today, which I believe to be his first of the season, as a matter of fact. And he lines up alongside Eric Monaco for the start. Henry Thomas, always a contender in third place. Robert Weaver, whose future is uncertain at Robbers Racing, lines up fourth. And Aiden Smith completes the top 5. But there are a lot of playoff contenders in the upper midfield. You got a whole bunch of them lining up 9th through 14th. There's 5 of them in that group alone. So early pickings could be important here.
Yeah, and you have to be really careful because you never really know which of these drivers are going to be super aggressive at the start and which ones are going to be more tame. That's a strategy decision that all these teams are making privately throughout the week. They're trying to decide what is the best move depending on where we're starting. So we might see somebody like Kev Shearer go a little bit easy because he's got the speed and he's already got that track position. So he might go a little easy in the beginning, while a guy like Riley Hooper, who's sitting in 12th, 60 points back right now, might be really, really aggressive starting in that 12th position on the grid as well. So this is going to be a fascinating one to see how it all plays out, what happens here. It's a unique track. It's a new track. And, oh, man, the intensity is ramping up here in the playoffs.
So with that being said, we have 40 cars lined up on the grid today, and we are ready to bring you the action at Memphis. This is the 1UP Nitro National Series playoff race number 2, and the green flag is getting ready to drop on these 40 cars as soon as we're ready to bring it to you. So stay tuned, it's going to be a good one. With the pace car making the hard left turn on the pit road, Kev Shearer and Eric Monaco on the front row here for a day at Memphis International Raceway. And the green flag's getting ready to drop. They're creeping up to the line, and that we are go at Memphis. And Kev Shearer jets off with the lead going into turn 1. We'll see if Henry Thomas can follow the 20 into the first corner. Because keep in mind, with the fresh tires, that inside line is going to be a premium for everybody.
Yeah, the inside definitely looking good right now. It's the shorter way around this track, and if you can keep that grip down there, you're definitely going to take advantage through the middle of the corner. The outside lane might start to come in later in the tire run just because you're able to keep a little bit more momentum up there, but we'll see how that plays out today. Meanwhile, that 20 car, a little bit more aggressive than I expected, driving away from the field here today.
Well, I kind of expected it because he needs to make up points. He needs to make up a lot of them. So, Kev Shearer jets off with the lead. Thomas now clear of Monaco for second. Aiden Smith from 5th position starting to close that gap as well. In the 23 as Thomas makes a deep lunge in the turn 1. Has to back out of it a little bit, but he is desperate to lead this race and to win a race for the first time in a long time.
Yeah, Henry Thomas desperately needs one. Henry Thomas came into this race 22 positions, 22 points back in the 4th position in the playoffs. So definitely a good run here today is going to be helpful, especially with a lot of those other playoff contenders starting a little bit farther back in the pack. Meanwhile, Kev Shearer 46 points back in the 7th position going into this race. So a big day for both of them so far. It's only lap 4, but if they can stay out front, this could be a big one for them.
Absolutely, and it would not take a lot for Henry Thomas to celebrate if he were to win this race, because he has been due for many years in the past. But he's starting to lose touch a bit with Kev Shearer in this 20, as it looks like Eric Monaco does get to the inside eventually. He's battling Austin Scott and Jensen Nomina over 4th place.
Yeah, Henry Thomas, I mean, has been knocking on the door of a win all season. 11 top 10s, leads all drivers in the playoffs, and 4 top 5s on the year. No wins, of course, like you said. So yeah, absolutely knocking on the door, absolutely due up for a win, and right now knocking on the rear bumper of Kev Shearer trying to take the lead in this one.
The joke around the paddock is that Henry Thomas's winless streak is longer than some countries have existed, but I'm sure he would love to snap that streak here today at Memphis as we send it off down the back straightaway on lap number 7. He's keeping touch with Kev Shearer. That's the good news, but he really needs to get out of the dirty air of the Mahindra Honda.
Yeah, for sure. And Aiden Smith not too far back, along with Eric Monaco, still in that 4th position. They are not losing touch with these two. They're only a little bit farther back, so that's how it's going to be for now in this one. Everybody's staying pretty close, and there's Monaco going for the 3rd spot.
Yeah, we shouldn't discount that 44 either. He is a very fast car in his own right, and he is in shopping for a ride next year. The one he had for next year went belly up, so he's looking for something new, and this is a big audition day for him. I'm very sure of it. As look, Ryan Arnold's making his presence known in the top 5. He started today back in 13th. He's already on the tail of Aiden Smith for 4th.
Yeah, Smith is starting to fall back a little bit. I wonder if it's a tire-saving move or if that car isn't to his liking right now, but he's lost the position and now he's under fire for the 4th spot.
And Austin Scott, it has to be said, also having a solid run in that 16. He started 7th, he's currently running 6th. Solid day for him, and he needs one. But further back, Cody Goforth. This is who many still believe to be the championship favorite, and he is currently battling Jensen Nomina for 8th position on the racetrack. It shouldn't be a battle for much longer, but I would expect that 62, after a very disappointing Talladega, to want to bounce back in a hurry.
Yeah, for sure. Goforth is only 7 points back. Came into the playoffs with a big lead due to the bonus points from the regular season, and Goforth ended up using all of those bonus points in that 1st round to stay within touch of Earl Sear, who now is running a little bit farther back in the pack, started in 20th today. But yeah, that Cody Goforth machine definitely one to watch for throughout the rest of the playoffs.
Yeah, and it must be said, his teammate Arnold is outrunning him at the moment in 4th, but Arnold's the guy who's going to take over that 01 car next year, so I'm sure Devin Fair watching this race is going to be happy about that, but he also wants the best shot his team can get at a championship, and at the rate they're going right now, I think their best bet is with the Army machine.
Yeah, I agree with that. However, Ryan Arnold, not out, 49 points back in the 8th position coming into this race here. So a couple of big races strung together might put him right back in the fight to possibly compete for a championship. We'll see what happens. But yeah, that opening round definitely spread out all of these drivers in the playoffs, and Ryan Arnold was no exception.
We've seen mightier teams crumble under the pressure of having 2 drivers racing for the same championship, but I think Fair & Co. is going to be fine considering of the caliber drivers they have in Goforth and Arnold. But look at this. Eric Monaco, just now he's closing up on the 12. He's sending one up the inside of the 12. Coming out of turn 2, has to give up that one for the moment, but he's right on the tail as Kev Shearer is starting to scoot away.
Yeah, I agree. Kev Shearer is rolling right now. He's over a second ahead of Henry Thomas in this battle between himself and Eric Monaco. Monaco has looked pretty good so far. We saw him get by the 23 car a little bit earlier, and now he's just ahead of Ryan Arnold, who's been on the charge. I think the 23 has been falling back even more. Yeah, you can't see him.
He's in 8th place at the moment, battling Nomina for it.
Still falling, so that is a tough opening stint of this race. But now Arnold to the inside of Monaco. He's going to go down into turn 1, see what happens.
And keep in mind, Eric Monaco fought Kev Shearer tooth and nail for the win at Gateway earlier this year. Wouldn't he love to reignite that battle here at Memphis? But he's side by side with Arnold right now for that 3rd position. They send it off into turn 3. Looks as though Monaco is going to have the run around the top, but Arnold's got that key position on the inside line, and that's going to keep them side by side to complete lap 17.
Monaco's been doing a good job on the outside to keep momentum up around this track. We'll see if he can do it again. He's still at the quarter panel. Yeah, he's going to be able to off the corner, just stay barely there with Ryan Arnold. And now I think in this corner, especially because that 16 is down on the bottom, not going to have a chance to keep the position any longer.
But we now have 100 laps to go here at Memphis. Kev Shearer has led them all so far from pole. Henry Thomas has run second pretty much throughout the whole day. But the battle for 3rd has been heating up pretty much all day at this point. And Austin Scott now fights his way up into 3rd. He goes really wide in turn 3. Maybe the handling is not quite to his preference just yet. But and that's going to cost him. It's going to cost him a spot to Eric Monaco.
Yeah, he got on the brakes a little bit too late right there and locked him up going into the corner and just barely slid up, lost the position. But hey, you're going to stay in this race right here. No need to be so aggressive early. Just shake it off and go and get that spot back. I think Austin Scott's going to be A-okay after that one. And Eric Monaco now is going to have another shot at that 10 car, but we'll see what the 10 car can do from the 3rd position.
We got one coming out of the pits, David Meskey in the 42. We're hearing that he had a tire going down on that 42. He's now rejoined the race 2 laps down. But now he rejoins the racetrack. It's going to be a bit tight between himself and Riley Hooper. They make contact, going up into wall in big air for Hooper and for Cameron Brennan in the 86. A violent impact for both drivers, and it looks like it's taking a couple more with them. That is for certain going to bring out caution for the first time today.
Wow, that was an enormous hit. They hooked together on the straightaway, and then it looked like they caught a spot on the wall that just absolutely sent them flying. That is never what you want to see. Oh my goodness.
A violent crash here at Memphis International Speedway on lap 21 puts us under the caution for the first time, and Maston Rimmel looks to be out of it. His car pluming smoke out of the number 1, and I think Skylar Taylor is going to meet a similar fate in the 03, a teammate to Goforth and Arnold in the 03. They look to be done for today, but our main concern is these guys right here. Riley Hooper, who's facing his 2nd DNF in a row, and Cameron Brennan, who did such a good job in the last few races to jump to the top 30.
Everybody's in the pits now, taking some tires and fuel in this one. But yeah, Riley Hooper is going to retire from this race, at least, and that is a tough look after that incident. We'll get some replays at some point here, but for now, everybody's on the pit lane. Looks like Kev Shearer is getting some service, and that's going to be good. We'll see if that 20 car can lead, can keep the lead off the pit lane. It looks like he will.
So it all started when David Meskey came out of the pit lane, and there just wasn't room enough for Riley Hooper. And I think you're right. Oh my God, it's hard to look at, no matter how many times you look at it.
It's the beginning of the safer barrier.
It juts out, yeah.
Right there. Yeah. So the safer barrier, it's cut at an angle there, those aluminum tubes, and they're attached just to that concrete wall at an angle, and it looks like they just caught the edge of it. Wow.
So Hooper was running pretty solidly, as we said, up until this moment, and Meskey probably, there wasn't anything Meskey could have done. Oh my God, that's at least 15 feet.
That is extremely scary, and the 42 absolutely should not have gone that high up the track. I mean, went straight to the middle in the pack. That was just wrong. Should have stayed down to the bottom lane. I understand in the corner, not leaving as much room maybe, but yeah, in the middle of the straightaway there, that 42 came out of the pits, went all the way up to the middle of the track, pushed the 69 car up into the wall there, and that was just, it's an extremely difficult crash to watch. Right there at the edge of the safer barrier. They put the safer barriers in the corners here but not on the straightaways, which typically, at a slower speed track like this, it's like that at Gateway as well, a very similar kind of wall configuration at Gateway. But in the corners, that's where typically the crashes will happen. So you want that softer wall, soft, not really that soft, but it's a softer, safer wall in the corners where the cars will hit and it'll flex and deform so that the impacts aren't as much on the driver. But obviously, that is the worst case scenario for the very edge of that wall right there.
The opposite effect of what they'd hoped for with that. So, after a brief delay to get Riley Hooper and Cameron Brennan the proper medical attention, we're going to restart this race on lap 27. And Kev Shearer, he kept the lead on pit road. That's good for him. But he's got Henry Thomas right behind him now. He stretched that lead out. We'll see if he can do it again.
Yeah, it's going to be a little bit easier this time, I'd think, because he's starting in a single file line this time. So last time it was double file for the very start of the race. You've got people on the outside. Everybody's bunched up now. You don't have anybody on the side of you to worry about, so you can use the whole track if you'd like to get down into turn one and carry that momentum out on the back straightaway. We'll see if he's able to do that ahead of the speedy number 12 car that has taken the second position once again out of the pit lane.
So we're coming to the restart now, and Kev Shearer jets away. Wow. Shearer leads on lap 27 from Henry Thomas, Ryan Arnold, Austin Scott, and Logan Williams, who snuck his way into the top 5 for the first time today. But Shearer's been untouchable so far, even with that cataclysmic accident to put us under yellow for a moment. But either way, Shearer, he seems to have this one under control for the moment anyway, but I would be very surprised if Cody Goforth in that 01 doesn't at least play a factor before it's all over.
Yeah, we've got a lot of really fast cars that haven't seen any clean air up in the second position. I'd say the 10 car, definitely one of them. The 01 has been extremely fast, and I think that Eric Monaco might have something to say about the lead by the time this is all said and done, if he were able to get up into the second position. Meanwhile, Aiden Smith, hopefully they've worked on that car a little bit. He gained some spots coming out of the pit lane, and now he's stuck on the outside, losing them back. But we'll see if that 23 car can show some of the speed it had in qualifying to stay or to try to charge back towards the front.
And it has to be said as well, Mac Johnson started this race in 23rd in the 05. He's now open to the top 10. So yeah. It goes to show you, passing, it can be done on the short tracks, even though conventional wisdom says it's not always possible. But here comes Cody Goforth, proving my point even further by making a pass on Austin Scott, this time for 5th place.
Yeah, this track has been alive today with the passing. I mean, it's pretty easy to get down underneath somebody on the straightaway. This long, curving, sweeping front straightaway really allows that to go down into turn one, and then, of course, on the back straightaway, it's a pretty shallow entry into like a narrow, shallow entry into turn 3 there. So it's a really unique track. Both the corners are very different. The front straightaway is banked and curved, and the back straightaway, actually, it's a little bit of an egg shape here at Memphis. So it allows that turns 3 and 4 to be a little bit slower, but it curves out. It's a lot of fun to race at this place, but yeah, because of the shape of the track, it really lends itself to a lot of passing opportunities into the corners.
And speaking of passing opportunities, I think Henry Thomas is looking to try one on Kev Shearer, but not this time. He tucks in line at the moment, but these two are starting to pull away from 3rd place Arnold, who in turn is pulling away from Williams in 4th. And Goforth has cleared the cars he was battling for 5th place. Eric Monaco tucked in 6th, Nomina, Scott, Johnson, and Braden Varga making an appearance in the top 10 for the first time today. He started this race in 8th. He's still hanging in the top 10.
So here's something to keep in mind just for later in this race if we were to get some more yellows in this one. The 12 car of Henry Thomas, once again, was able to stay kind of with Kev Shearer, maybe even was a little bit faster than that car at the beginning of this run for the first about 5 to 10 laps of this run. But now he is starting to fall off, and he's starting to fall back into the clutches of the 10 car of Ryan Arnold there in the 3rd position. So keep an eye on that. If the 12 car can get the lead early in a run later in this race, you might be able to pull away.
as soon as I mentioned Braden Varga, our cameraman pointed him out to us. He's currently running in 9th. He just took that spot from Austin Scott. Starting to slip a little bit in the 16, but as long as he can get a top 15 day, I think he'll be okay with that, considering how his season's gone up to this point. And he's going to lose 10th here in a moment to Aiden Clare in the 00, but back up at the front, it's still still a stagnant battle for the lead. Not much has happened, but that's okay. There's still plenty of racing to go. And how about this? This is going to be a big day for Mike Edwards in this 60 car. He's a teammate to Thomas. He's a teammate to Austin Scott. He started this race down in 39th place, and in just 36 laps, he's made his way to the outskirts of the top 10.
Yeah, that's a really great day for the 60 car. We know that car has speed based on how his teammates are performing in this one. And yeah, Mike Edwards, a great run so far in this one. We'll see if he can keep it up and move even closer to the front.
Speaking of the front, that's where these guys are. Ryan Arnold in 3rd place. Logan Williams runs 4th. Get a bit of a train going here, it has to be said, with Williams, go 4th, Nomina, and Eric Monaco. But these guys, they're no slouches. They're here for a reason, and all but Monaco are in the playoffs, so there's a reason they're up here.
Yeah, and you mentioned the playoffs. That you can notice all these playoff drivers. It's based on the blue spoiler, the blue side skirts, and some of them have blue roof rails as well. So you can notice those playoff drivers. They are the ones that are still eligible and fighting for the championship here in the closing races of the season. And they are all fighting hard because you have to have good runs and you can't have bad runs in the playoffs. There is not enough time to recover, and a lot of these guys really are in a hole after Talladega, so they need to have solid runs here. And speaking of the playoffs, I have not seen any mention of our playoff points leader going into this race, Earl Sear. He has not found his way closer to the front from his 20th starting position, so that's a big opportunity for a lot of these guys running up front, especially Logan Williams, teammates to Earl Sear, now moving past Ryan Arnold for the 3rd position.
And considering all 4 Team Duke drivers made the playoffs, this is a bit of a bragging point for some of these guys to finish ahead of the others. But as they run right now, Shearer has led all 41 laps so far. Thomas has stayed 2nd for pretty much all 41 laps so far. Looking a little further back now, Nicky Martinez and Dennis Kadyushoff battling it out for a position inside the top 20. Nondescript, of course, to keep you guessing, but further back, there is Earl Sear. He's running, I think, either just inside or just outside the top 20. It's not the run he wanted, I'm sure of it. There's a lot he could be doing in this race to make gains, but like I said, still early. And he does have another playoff. Yeah, he's in 22nd right now. But he does have a playoff driver back here in Ryan Griffin to keep him company at least.
Yeah, and Ryan Griffin came into this race in the 6th position, 41 points back from Earl Sear.
And Ryan Reed is back here as well in the 28. He had a bit of a bad day at Talladega, has to be said. But he's had 2 wins this season, and they're both at abrasive racetracks. So I'm a bit surprised he's not doing a little better, honestly. But there's, like I said, still plenty of time for that to happen in this race. We did our brief through the field. We've got 36 cars still running, 35 of which are on the lead lap. And Shearer is pretty much turning this into his own personal benefit.
Yeah, he is. He's over a second ahead now of the 2nd place driver, Henry Thomas. And here's a battle. That is Braden Varga going to the inside of the 62 car. And that is for position for the 7th spot on the track. And it looks like Varga is going to be able to get ahead in that number 0 machine just for now. And it looks like he's going to complete the pass coming out of turn 2. So, maybe he won't complete.
No,
he will. He will. So that's, hey, from the Game Bridge Chevy right there, that's a good move up into the 7th spot for him, and just another set of points right there gained on the position.
Now, this I kind of saw coming when the Fair and Co cars caught each other, was that Cody Goforth was going to get past Ryan Arnold for the sake of the championship. But
yeah,
he's not out of the woods yet. He's still got Logan Williams to deal with, and he is not under contract with Fair and Co, so he can't be told to get out of the way.
Yeah, so Goforth, I think, has one of the fastest cars on the track right now, and he has moved up into the 4th position. He's going to attempt to pass soon here on Logan Williams, who's running only a little bit faster.
A little bit of contact there, actually.
Yeah, so we'll see what happens here with the 01. I think that he is going to be able to get past Logan Williams soon, hopefully soon, and he can get out there and try to chase down our leaders. I do think that he's got the fastest car on the track right now, and he might be able to catch up to Henry Thomas and make a move, but Arnold going to the bottom. Hey, maybe there weren't team orders because these two are fighting.
Yeah, and like I said, my dear teams have fallen victim to this in the past, and we do not want the Fair & Co teammates at each other's throats over a potential accident fighting over fourth. So maybe it's a good thing Ryan Arnold got back past, and maybe they'll be able to play nice for the rest of the day. It's wishful thinking.
Oh, there goes Arnold. He's found a little bit of speed right now, and he's trying to get past Logan Williams now, who is on the outside lane. So that 83 car is stuck out there, and Arnold down to the bottom. Meanwhile, Eric Monaco is trying the same move on the 01 of Cody Goforth. So this battle has turned into a bit of a war between these four drivers battling for the third spot.
Not bad for a number 2 driver, I'm sure Ryan Arnold would love to say right now, as he tries to take the final podium place from the 83 of Williams. And looking a little further back, we've got some new faces to talk about in the top 10. Tegan Fox, after that heartbreak at Talladega, made their way up into the top 10, and considering they started 25th today, that's impressive.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's a great run from the 78. That's back-to-back. I think that Tegan Fox is going to be somebody that we continue to talk about for years to come. It seems like that is how this story is developing. So a great job from that whole team. And here's Jensen Nomina.
Teammate to Fox, it has to be said.
Of course, yeah. So up to 7th place right now. A great little run right there. And there's the 83 was closing the door.
Yeah, this battle will not die. This battle will not die.
We got a little bit loose. And oh man, these four drivers are absolutely fighting it out for the third spot. I wonder what's causing. I wonder if it's Williams that's a little bit slower, if they're all just going about the same speed right now. What's causing this battle? It's interesting. But the 83 continues to stay out ahead of them all. Goforth dives it down in there inside of Arnold. Is going to clear coming out of the corner.
Like I said, again, these guys, better teams have faced this before and have crumbled under it. So I think regardless of who's leading this train, they're going to be the slowest one just because of how the aggression is here. But regardless, these guys are losing plenty of time to the leaders out front. They're now 4.5 to 5 seconds off the lead at this point. So lots got to happen for their race to be brought back alive. But if Cody Goforth can make this pass on Williams here, that's a good start.
Yeah, you know, and we still have a little bit of pit stop strategy left to go in this race, as Goforth is going to go on by Logan Williams there on the straightaway. So we'll see. Williams took a stab at it, but he's not going to get it on the outside. We'll see what the 01 can do now in the clean air. Oh, yeah, look at this, driving away from the 83 car. And I think that is what should have happened the first time. It didn't because of what Ryan Arnold attempted.
Well, I don't think it's going to happen this time either, because Williams is hanging in there in that 83. We're looking away for a moment to look at the leaders and how close they are to lap traffic, possibly. But yeah, it's not happening again. So very curious about that, it has to be said.
Yeah, it's a fascinating battle that is brewing and continuing on for the third spot, and there's Williams on the inside. So, hey, I stand corrected. That 01 car not able to drive away once he got past Williams. So this is interesting how it's all playing out here. These guys have got to be burning up their tires a little bit faster than everybody else. The 12, the 20, they're probably out there having a great day on some cooler tires that aren't wearing it quite as fast as these guys that are battling tooth and nail for the third spot.
And I think I need to break out the happy owner hat for this one, because that 83 is doing wonders fighting the Fair & Co cars. And Mike Edwards now, talking about happy owners, Ben McDonald's got to be happy about this. All three of his cars running in the top 10 at the moment, and considering that 60 started on the back row to grid, that's really impressive.
Yeah, hey, you know, the 83 is doing a great job today. Here's Eric Monaco going for the fourth spot on Cody Goforth. But yeah, Logan Williams doing a great job right now. The only Team Duke car in the top 10 at this point, but the others aren't far back. I wish that Earl Sear was having a better day. Unfortunately, they all haven't gotten the same car, I guess, as the 83. Not sure how that all worked out, but Logan Williams driving that thing to the front.
Yeah, and he's back into the podium places is Logan Williams. He's still 4.5 seconds off the lead, but hey, another caution could change everything. And we're closing in. I think yeah, we just passed half race distance.
Yep.
That was at lap 59. So Kev Shearer has locked up the bonus point now for most laps led. That's good for him. He needs it to jump back into the championship fight as Nomina takes a peek around the outside perhaps of Ryan Arnold and Eric Monaco. He's going to try and get some momentum going, maybe to launch himself into turn 1.
Yeah, the inside lane has stayed pretty well the preferred lane today. We've seen a little bit, as the run goes on, it gets a little bit easier to contend and to try to maintain your position in the outside lane, but really it has been difficult all day. And is that a bump and run from Nomina on Ryan Arnold?
I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised if it was, because this 62 is another guy that's been desperate for a win for a long time. Probably not as much as Thomas, considering this is his rookie season and all, but still something to note. And Nomina, considering how close he came a few races back, I think it was Pocono that he came so close to winning earlier this season, and wouldn't this be something to win at Memphis?
Yeah. Oh, it would be a great day. I think that at this point the track does not really matter to Henry Thomas. It is win or
It'll
nothing.
become his favorite track if he wins.
That is for certain. Every time you come back to the place that you first won at, it is a special day for sure. And we'll see that 12 car was making a little bit of a gain here in the super long run stage of the race. So the 12 car now within a second of Kev Shearer. We'll see. And then, of course, once they catch lap traffic, it's going to change the game once again for those drivers.
And the Louisville teammates have caught each other, Nomina and Fox. So I don't think Fox is going to pressure the 62 too much, considering the 62 is a title contender. But considering what happened to Talladega, it might not surprise me.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, it's pretty interesting. I think that 62 car here is Nomina. I think that he has been one of the best cars on the long run, like the super long run that we have, of course, other than the 20 car who continues to lead this race. But the 62 has been on a major charge, and somebody who's falling back is Ryan Arnold, now down to the 7th spot after being a big contestant in that fight for the 3rd position.
Yep, now looking, you were right, though, about Thomas and Shearer getting closer, and you better believe Shearer's taking a look in that rearview mirror, because Thomas is, right there. And even though Shearer's led all 67 laps of this race so far, it would not surprise me if that 12 car mounted the charge. And although, like you said earlier, pit strategy is still a factor today. If the 12 gets the jump on the 20 in the pit stops, that could be all the difference right there.
Yeah, and we saw the 12 car, Henry Thomas, that crew had a great pit stop earlier in this one, maintained that 2nd position. So we'll see what happens once we get to the pit cycle. But hey, making the pass on the track would be incredible. It's a little bit easier in the pits, but you got to have a fantastic stop. And we see a lot of the time these top tier teams, they're separated by not even tenths. Oh, and here's Shearer in right now. So this is a big lap for Henry Thomas to try to gain, but I think that this is the right move to pit a little bit earlier, short pit this run, and try to make it to the end of the race here on some fresh tires. Wow, nobody else is pitting.
Yeah, we're looking, see if we can find anybody, but no one's coming, so
I'm very surprised by that.
Yeah, so Thomas takes the lead of the race, first lead change of the day, his first laps led of the day, and Williams now up to 2nd. So Shearer is really, he's doing the right thing. He's getting his pit stop out of the way early here, and there he is. He's still in the pits, obviously. He's in the first pit stall after winning pole position, but there he goes a lap down, and he's going to need to make that up in a hurry.
Yeah, he's in the danger zone now, so until that 12 car pits, or whoever the leader becomes, he is in the danger zone. If the caution comes out, he will be a lap down at this point, so we'll see what happens.
I think it might be.
There's 05.
I think it might be out, because look, there's damage, and there's the pace car. That is there's Ryan Reed. He's been involved in an accident, and I think James Ellison has as well. That is going to severely burn Kev Shearer's hopes of winning this race.
Oh, that is the only issue with pitting so early is you go a lap down and then you are stuck if the caution comes out. Everybody
Well,
stayed out. You
keep
went
in
a lap
mind,
down.
you got to keep in mind, he is going to get the free pass most likely, but he's still going to start smack dab at the back of the field.
That is
And
so tough.
it's going to burn Mac Johnson as well. He pitted the lap after Shearer. They're both going to be on the tail end of the lead lap. And yeah, Reed and Ellison out of the race. Everybody else, though, big break for them.
Yeah, that is a huge break for everybody that stayed out. I mean, if anybody else had made a pit stop, they would have ended up a lap down. So we see how it has all played out here. And unfortunately, Kev Shearer was having a fantastic day. By far and away, the fastest car will get the bonus point for having the most laps led in this one. Started the race 46 points back and is going to leave this race, in all likelihood, even farther back in the hole after that. Wow, a really, really tough break.
And look at this, Logan Williams is going to beat
Wow.
Henry Thomas out of the pit lane. That could be huge for this race. Fox up to third, go fourth now in the fourth position. But Kev Shearer, it's got to be said, is in a real spot of trouble here. So here's Ryan Reed. He was running mid-pack. I think he was going to try and commit to pit road, and he did, but he got a little bump from Stoyan, I think.
Oh, no.
And he
No.
is this ain't going to end well for Ryan Reed, and it doesn't, and it collects Ellison and Nick Breeding for good measure.
That is so tough. Was trying to enter the pit lane right there, got caught in the grass, was really loose, sliding around the corner, and then got high centered on that curbing and just smashed straight into the attenuator at the end of the pit wall. Wow, we've had 2 wall issues today. Not the way the wall is designed to work.
So here it is. Did he get a bump from the 30, or was he just trying to commit too late?
I think he was trying. Yeah, he was trying to commit. I wonder if he couldn't get slowed down, though, and that's tough. And Ellison had nowhere to go. Same with the 76. Wow.
Would it have been smarter to leave Ryan Reed out an extra lap, perhaps?
Maybe. I don't know. He was trying to pit right there. It's an aggressive call to come in a lap earlier than everybody around you. I like the call, but I think that you got to bail a little bit sooner. It's probably just late over the radio. And he's got to decide as the driver of that car to just ignore that call for that lap, because you can't make it in at that point. He was well past the cone. So yeah, that's an unfortunate circumstance, and he got caught up there in an issue that was of his own doing, and he caught up a couple other drivers as well.
Yeah, and that's a really tough break because for Ryan Reed, this is a second race in a row in the playoffs where something has not gone right for him. And this is just like Riley Hooper. This is going to be Ryan Reed's second straight DNF in the playoffs, and that's really going to hurt both of them in their hopes for a title. But we're going to come to the restart on lap 77, and here's something that's going to be a bit different from the first one. We've got a different leader, Logan Williams, and we've got a lap car on the inside.
Yeah, this will be interesting with Mesquite down there on the inside lane. I think that Logan Williams, the best bet here is to get a really good jump on the start and dive down in front of that 42 car and hope that he can lock some other cars on the outside lane or possibly behind him. We'll see what happens, though. Williams could get stuck on the outside. Oh boy, and he is going to get stuck on the outside. Look at how good a start that 42 car had.
And look at the start the 78's got. Now they've dived to the inside of both these leaders. And could we see something like Talladega again? Tegan Fox to the inside of Logan Williams for the race lead. That is impressive from the 78, taking 2 cars in one corner like that.
Yeah, and there's Cody Goforth moving into the second position and passing that 83 car who's still stuck on the outside lane after this. And watch this, the 42 is still out ahead of this whole group, so not even the leader is safe from the dirty air at this point. Wow, it looks like there might have been a little bit of contact farther back at kind of the backside of the top 10. I think that everybody's okay, though. And here is Tegan Fox leading the way ahead of Cody Goforth in the second position. Logan Williams, who led at the restart, is down to, down even farther, all the way outside of the top 10 now?
No, that was fastest lap leaderboard, but he is in 5th place at the moment,
okay.
so...
Ooh.
He's up to 4th. He's back up to 4th now, past the 44. And Henry Thomas, though, he's still stuck on the outside.
Yeah, I'm a little bit confused right there with the graphics. The graphics operator choosing an interesting time there to go to the lead, to the fastest laps. But here's a great battle that we have just within and outside the top 10. And look at this. Elijah Ironhouse, who needs a really good day today after a tough day at Talladega. And, of course, our points leader, Earl Sear, was joining in the top 15 as well. So those guys starting to come alive here when it's time at the end of the race.
And now Tegan Fox has jumped ahead of David Meskey. That's an important thing for the 78. To try and get as big a lead as possible and then hang on to it. Because keep in mind who's behind that 42 in second place. The championship favorite. It's Goforth. And he is desperate for a good day. Probably not as much as the guys behind, but he wants to get that points lead back, and I think he'd do a lot today to make that happen, especially considering he's in a Louisville sandwich at the moment.
Yeah, and you know, he's 7 points back from Earl Sear, and we've documented Earl Sear having a little bit of trouble today to get even anywhere near the top 10 right now. He's having the best run that he's had of this race, but Goforth only 7 points behind him. He could take a big lead in this one, especially because a lot of these drivers, like Nomina, is a playoff driver, but came into this race 54 points behind Earl Sear. So this would not be as big a gain on Cody Goforth as it would be against the other drivers for Jensen Nomina. So that's an interesting way to look at this right now, is that the 01 car need to be really aggressive to try to get that
Williams
spot.
into the wall out of turn 2. That's going to cost him a few spots. It's going to cost him Arnold, and it's going to cost him Monaco, maybe Thomas as well.
Yeah, Henry Thomas right now is the one driver that can really try to stay in touch with Cody Goforth after the results at Talladega. The 12 car was only 22 points back from Earl Sear, and it was within 15 behind that 01 car. And here's Nomina trying to make a pass on the 01 car to the second position, and there he goes. I think that David Meskey is really messing with these leaders right now, because Tegan Fox is driving away, and now Nomina is finally going to get by the 42.
Yeah, and now it's a Louisville 1-2, so I know Nomina is racing for a championship. I get that. But his teammate's got a 1 second lead at the moment, and I think he might have to play wingman to the 78, even if he's the one racing for the title here.
Yeah, well, we'll see what happens, what kind of speed this 62 car has. I mean, he is driven from way back all the way to the front. So, I mean, this car has been absolutely stellar today, the 62 has. And he is now in the second position, feeling a little bit of clean air. Not completely clean air because the leader is out there, but a little bit cleaner air, and then especially those directly behind himself. And we'll see what the 62 can do. If he can get up there pretty quickly, I think that there could be a battle. I'd bet you there's no team orders at this point.
Yeah, but the problem is he's lost half a second in the last 2 laps. So
That is true.
And we're coming to 30 laps to go. I'm not saying it's over, because it's never over until the checkered flag flies, but Tegan Fox has got a pretty good handle on this thing.
Yeah, and what a story it would be for the driver of the 78 car after dominating at Talladega, which is not a sentence that you hear very often. Dominating at Talladega is pretty crazy, but nobody could pass that 78 car, and then at the very end of the race, it all unraveled, and the 78 got stuck in that outside lane, and you know how it is at Talladega, dropped straight to the back of the pack, and didn't have enough time to gain the positions necessary to fight for the win. So that 78 to come back here to a completely different track type, a short track, high wear, tire wear track, and absolutely show up and show out, and is still continuing to drive away from the rest of the field. A great day, a great comeback story for Tegan Fox.
It's not over yet, but the lead's grown to about 2 seconds now. So just keep that in mind for the later stages of this race, which we are in now. And you're right, this is a great comeback story on our hands, it's got to be said. But Tegan Fox has probably led more laps in this race than even at Talladega at this point. So, yeah, great story, but there's still a lot of racing to go. And once again, we've got some new faces in the top 10. Elijah Ironhouse, like you said, slicing his way through the field now up to the top 5. And Wyatt O'Quinn in the 38. There he is, fighting for 9th place with Kanalka in the 7.
Yeah, this is a really fascinating battle that we have here. Everybody's being a little bit held up by the lapper, the 42 car, just kind of wedged in the middle of all these drivers. And of course, that car had just enough speed to stay with everybody in the same pit cycle and all that, but a different lap right now in the race. So it's kind of throwing a wrench in this whole battle. It has pushed them all pretty far behind the 62 of Nomina in the second position. So yeah, but Ironhouse started this race in the 24th position, the last starting position of all of our playoff drivers, and has now turned it into a solid day, looking at a top 5 finish possibly on the day for the 8 car. A great comeback for a driver that really needed it.
Yeah, but he's still not the highest ranked playoff driver in the race. That's Jensen Nomina in second. But, and considering, I neglected to mention this for obvious reasons, but considering all the turmoil that this team has been under in the last few weeks, imagine if they bring home a 1-2 today.
Oh, man. That would be great. It would be just a great way for these guys to kind of say, you know what? Don't matter. We're going to go out there, we're going to race, and that's all we know how to do, is go out there and race. And they are absolutely putting on a show today. And don't look now, but 62 has cut off a little bit of time. You know, it's about 3/10 every once in a while. But right now, the 62 gaining some time. We'll see what happens at the line here. But Fox maybe just saving the stuff a little bit, keeping the heat out of those tires. But there's another 10th right there from the 62, eating into the lead of Tegan Fox.
Yeah, and these guys, they've been through a lot in the last few weeks. It's got to be said, but. And they were told to not race anymore after the ownership fled. It's been a tough break, but these guys want to keep racing, and I don't blame them for that. And you saw how close Tegan Fox got at Talladega. These cars have speed, and Nomina's been close all season long. So for them to be running 1-2 here today, poetic justice.
Yes, I absolutely agree, and especially if nothing else, after that race at Talladega, especially for Tegan Fox, I mean, to come here, a completely different track type, a completely different racing style, almost a different discipline of racing. I mean, you could make the argument for sure. And the 78 car once again out front. And we can't forget about Kev Shearer in this race, who absolutely was stellar through the first half and then some. But got caught out on a tough strategy situation with a caution falling at the absolutely wrong time, and is now in the back of the pack. That car was going to win this race without that issue, but now Tegan Fox has absolutely capitalized on an incredible restart and is driving possibly to a win in 18 laps, and a well-deserved one at that.
Yeah, Kev Shearer has not been broken into the top 30 yet, and that's a big shame for Kev, because he's had such a strong season, and it might be his only one in Nitro National, because he's going to Superstar Racing next year. So
yeah,
he wants a Nitro National title to go with his truck one, but at the rate he's going, might not be this year.
Yeah, he was already in a big hole going into this race, and it's not going to get any smaller after this one, after the results are in here from Memphis. So he's going to need some really solid runs after this. And, you know, it is possible for Kev Shearer, absolutely possible, but it will be tough.
He's going to have to put on a Herculean effort to make that happen, but that's what we love about this kind of racing. You never count out a Herculean effort. But he's going to have to put his big boy pants on at Denver, because that is its own set of challenges. Our only road course to the playoffs. A lot of people are going to be strong there. Hopefully Kev's one of them. But we still have a race at Memphis to sort out, and we've only got 15 laps left.
Yeah, and Elijah Ironhouse, I'm not sure what they did to this car on that last pit stop, but they have improved the speed of this thing by a lot. He was running around the back half of he was kind of in the top 20 there, just barely hanging on, and he has absolutely driven towards the front in this run. He's passing Goforth, and he's going to try to pass Eric Monaco. At least he was right up there lap ago, so that could put him in a podium position. And if it weren't for Nomina, who started this race pretty well behind Elijah Ironhouse, or no, only 2 points behind Elijah Ironhouse going into the race. But those two drivers far back in the playoff hole now are starting to eat back into it, and we'll see where they all come out when it's all said and done.
Which is coming. It's coming pretty quick. We're closing in on 10 to go, and we still have 34 cars in this race, 33 on the lead lap. And Kev Shearer's finally broken into the top 30. That's progress. It's not what he wants, but he's got speed in that car. It's just a shame that the fastest car is not going to win today.
Yeah, it is a shame, especially for everybody on that 20 car. They prepared an incredible machine for this track. But there's Elijah Ironhouse went by Eric Monaco, and then Cody Goforth followed through. The 38's going to follow through, so that's a tough 2-lap section for the 44 car. And there's Ironhouse is possibly going to suffer the same fate with Goforth.
The wall. And Wyatt O'Quinn's here in the 38. He started this race very deep in the hole, and now he's making a push towards the front. He started this race in 28th, and now he's making a push. He's past Ironhouse. He's catching Goforth. We've got 10 laps to go, 11. Regardless, it's still anyone's guess who's going to get that final podium place.
Yeah, and this has been the battle all day for the third position. It's always the third positions. It's not always the same cast of characters. But right now, this is the battle on the track, and it's for the third spot. And everybody wants it. Everybody has a shot at it. And they're side by side for it right now. O'Quinn on the bottom.
And now we have 10 laps to go. And Wyatt O'Quinn, the gap between him and Cody Goforth at the line was 12 milliseconds. So at this point, there's not much separating 3rd through 6th at the moment, and they're dragging themselves away from Kanalka and Williams, who've swapped 7th and 8th place. So I think it's going to be a foregone conclusion at this point that there's going to be a Louisville 1-2, but who's going to join them there?
Yeah, with so few laps left, even a caution right now could possibly end this race. So we'll see what happens here for the third position. But yeah, right now, everything's looking good for those in the first and the second spots, but third, absolutely up for grabs.
And like you said, this is going to be a hero's performance from Tegan Fox after the disappointment of Talladega. And Memphis is a great place to win for obvious reasons. Talladega is a great place to win for obvious reasons, but you never forget your first, regardless of where it comes.
Yeah, I mean, this is going to be just a fantastic celebration for both those drivers. Nomina is in the second position, and Tegan Fox. I mean, Fox started this race in 25th, and to drive up to the front, to put themselves in the position to possibly take the lead on that restart after a little bit of a falter from that 83 car who was leading the way, and the 42 was kind of in the way, but a great restart from the 78 has put them up top, and now the 62, the team car, in the second position as well. Just a fantastic job from this whole organization to put together a really, really great race. You couldn't ask for it to turn out any better.
And we're coming to 5 laps to go this time. I think Tegan Fox is starting to realize the realization's starting to set in. Maybe this is going to be the day. Although you got to keep in mind when it came to this time at Talladega last week, this is where it started to unravel.
Yeah, and I'll tell you what, the 78, I mean, that driver has got to be hearing all the creaks, all the cracks. Everything is sounding like it's breaking in that car with the closing laps. You just got to stay strong. You got to stay true to your line. Don't make any mistakes. You got plenty of time back to second and especially third place. So just no mistakes at this point. You've been doing it all day. Keep going. You got only a couple laps left.
Yeah, 4 laps to go. This is where it all unraveled for Tegan last week at Talladega. Difference there is this time they've got a 1.4 second lead as opposed to 1.4 car lengths. So they're coming to 3 laps to go this time. I think Wyatt O'Quinn's finally starting to break away from Monaco and Ironhouse. Our podium's looking pretty good at the moment, but we still have 3 laps left and a big battle for 4th.
Yeah, Ironhouse down to the bottom now over Eric Monaco. So this is going to be a battle for the 4th position. We'll see. Whoever prevails in this battle might have enough time to take a shot at that 3rd position, but O'Quinn is pretty far out there right now. So I think that this battle for 4th is going to be just for 4th, especially as we cross in with 2 laps to go here. So Ironhouse is going to come out on top now we'll see what happens with the 44 as the laps continue to tick away.
Tick away. We're coming to the white flag at this point. And Tegan Fox has just kept that lead steady. 1.4 seconds. White flag in the air for Tegan Fox. And this would be a fantastic come from behind story after what happened at Talladega, it has to be said. Tegan Fox, this is their first season in one-up competition. They bypassed the trucks, went straight here, and it's going to pay off in a big way. It's been a tough few weeks for this race team, but they're going to be rewarded with a 1-2 today, and it's going to be led by Tegan Fox, who scores career win number 1 here at Memphis.
Wow, a great race from Tegan Fox. Jensen Nomina, who absolutely needed a huge day today to stay alive in the playoffs, gets the second spot. Wyatt O'Quinn comes across the line in third. Elijah Ironhouse in fourth. Wow, what a great race we had today. That was a ton of fun.
Absolutely. It's a tale of two races almost. You got it. Yep. It has to be said, the first part had that scary accident on lap 20. We still hope those two drivers are okay. And Kev Shearer dominated that part. But then it came to the second half when Tegan Fox really started to shine.
Yeah, it all came from that one restart after the incident at the pit lane attenuator. And Tegan Fox, a fantastic restart, perfectly executed to beat Logan Williams and everybody else that was starting ahead, and then never looked back from the lead after getting past the 42, the lapper. Just absolutely drove away. And then there were no questions asked after that. Tegan Fox gonna win the race and has completed the victory here at Memphis. That is just fantastic.
Absolutely. So, and on day we're reminded of the perils of motor racing from Duke Anzac and from myself as well. We say goodbye from Memphis, a chaotic day for very different reasons than at Talladega. Tegan Fox, your winner. We'll see you again next week at Denver for even more kinds of chaos.